Hi, welcome yet again to another episode of Team Healing. And today we're going to be talking about God is good all the time. And all the time, God is good. You know, the mantra, the famous mantra that you can throw in every church and you'll get a very good response. But anyway, I digress. So, God is good all the time. So I really love that statement, and you get a positive feedback from that statement. But what I find out is that that statement is when you try to empty it out with some of the people who say that, you start to find out that wait, their theology doesn't really back up that God is good all the time. You know, it shows like a very egotistical God who like everything is mine. You know what I mean? Like someone who's like really insecure of themselves, and you're wondering, wait, how did you come to the conclusion of God is good all the time? And then when you push them with more questions and more questions, and you push them to a corner, their response ends up with, God is God. He does whatever he wants. And then you're like, wait a minute, how does that show his goodness if he's such a little boy who's like, my toys, you know what I mean? Who's like so insecure. How do you get God is good from that, you know? So today we're going to break it down and just try to empty out, the thought of God is good, theology wise. If you think about it, most people don't really tap into themselves to question themselves if they really, really believe God is good. You can lie to your conscience that God is good, but your subconscious really, really knows what the deal is. You know what I mean? So if you have a certain theology that you present to everyone around you, but then like inside you, you keep questioning, wait, but how is that good? You'll start to express ungoodness of God unwillingly, even though you don't know it. You won't be like happy, like completely I hate using the word joyful, but you won't be completely joyful to say, I love God. You're like, I love God, but in your mind it will be working against you, saying, wait, but how are you going to tell people that God is good when you don't even really believe that? So that is what happens in your subconscious. So we're going to try and clear that conversation up, right? So theology wise, if you come into I know a lot of churches, multiple churches believe that God created the world, right? And then he just created the world and he put man in it, and man just did whatever they want. Actually, it doesn't go like that. It goes like this. God created the world. He put man. He also put the devil. And now he's using the devil to work people's characters. And everyone is a chessboard on God's big chessboard, That's the theology of a lot of churches, like a lot of prominent ministers that you see on TV, if you really empty out their theology, that's the conclusion that they get. And then when you try to push them to the corner to understand their theology, they'll just say, God is God. And then that's end of conversation. So let me go back. So they believe that God created the world, Adam and Eve and everyone and the devil, they all are in that world, and he's moving the chess pawns around, and whatever happens. And then when you ask them something like, wait, but if that's the case, why did God make the world so messed up? You know what I mean? And then probably their answer is, yeah, it's all part of his plan. And then ultimately we will see him glorified in all this mess, And you're thinking, man, that's that doesn't sound, I don't know how that sounds like a good God. So breaking it down in the right way, or in a better way of thinking of it, God created man, and then he created a place for them to live in, which is the earth, right? And then this is the most integral key in your theology. If you miss this, then you miss everything. He gave over everything to man. This is so integral that if you miss this, you miss the love of God. So he gave over everything to man, and then man did whatever they wanted with it. And what did they do? They handed it over. So let's look at some scriptures that will speak on this. We can look at Genesis 1 verse 28 that says, God blessed them and said to them, be fruitful, multiply, and fill the earth and subdue it. Rule over the fish, the sea, the birds of the air, and every creature that crawls upon the earth. So as you can see here, God creates the world and then he gives over everything to man, right? And the key things here that we see is that he says, subdue it and rule over it. So he's saying, look, you guys have dominion on this earth. It's yours. Here you go, you know? But then we see on Genesis 9, which is now Noah going through the same process, we see that the word subdue it or rule over is not there anymore. So it says, God blessed Noah and his sons and said to them, be fruitful and multiply and fill the earth. Full stop. He didn't say, hey, have dominion over the earth. You know what I mean? He was like, yeah, because he could. It wasn't his to give. He had already given it to who's this? Eve and Adam, right? And then Eve and Adam handed it to who they wanted to hand it over to. And we all know who they handed it over to. And that's why the world is so messed up. So when you start to see that, you start to see, oh, wow, that's the reason why this is super broken. It's not God who's saying, I want to break everything and make sure that people gain character from a broken world. No, that sounds very eglomaniac. Sounds like Thanos more than it sounds like God, right? Okay, so another place where we see this handover of dominion is Jesus when he's speaking to the adversary himself, right? He says, Mathew 4:8-9. Again, the devil took him to a very high mountain, showed him all the kingdoms of the world and their glory. All this I give you, he said, if you will fall down and worship me. So basically, the devil here is saying, look at all of the stuff. Yeah, it's mine. Yeah, if you worship me, I'll give all of this to you. And the thing is, it's a very interesting conversation because most people will say, wait, but the devil, he's a liar. But would he lie in front of Jesus? Probably. But then again, when Jesus responds to him, he doesn't say, well, you're a liar. That kingdom is not mine. It's not yours. You know what I mean? He responds according to the statement, and basically he breaks it down and says, away from me, devil, So you start to see that actually this world is not in the right hands. But let's also bear in mind that this conversation, all these verses that I spoke to you, was all before the cross. So after the cross, we see something different. We see a world that is actually being gained back into the hands of the sons of God. You know what I mean? There's a verse where Paul says that the world awaits for the sons of man to wake up, because it knows that it was not under the right dominion, but now as the sons of man take over one heart at a time, time, you start to see there's growth and there's healing. You know what I mean? And I know I might get stoned in a lot of churches for saying this, but if you actually look at the trajectory of the world, it's super, super getting better. I'm not saying it's perfect at the moment. No, it's actually macro size wise, it's actually moving into a direction where there's better stuff. I mean, if we look at the age where man dies now is it's on average it's pretty high, so which is such a good thing. I was watching a movie which was a period piece, and it was dated way back, and the joke in the movie was like, people are dying at on average, my life only ends at 30. You know what I mean? It was such a hidden joke, because if you had not thought about it, that look, if we look at the trajectory of man, we actually living longer. We actually have things that are helping us move forward. Me just having this conversation with you over a microphone in the comfort of my home, directly broadcasting to you wherever you are, that's better. That sounds better. Or me sleeping on a pillow with that says cushiony, with not feathers. I don't have a pillow with feathers, but something that's soft. The best king in Jesus's time, it was very hard to come across something like that. So you just have to see how the trajectory of the world is getting better. Our consciousness of most things is pretty much just on the right trajectory. So you'd start to see that actually we are taking this dominion back that was broken at the beginning, and now we are making it into a better world. So yeah, I hope this brought healing. I hope this gave you some introspective when it comes to God is good and God is good all the time. And you got to understand, wait, where does my theology lie when I actually say that statement? Does it lie in believing that God kills babies or God punishes us just so that we can build on character? Or is it God who's trying to use any person he can find on planet Earth to usher in love so that the world can actually move into a doper place, a nicer place, a place where our children's children can grow and be fruitful and multiply? Cool. Yeah. Anyway, like, share, subscribe. If you have any questions or arguments or disagreements, comment below. That it does something to the algos and pushes this content out to the world so that we can actually get to bring healing to everyone around us. Okay. Peace.